gave her the order of all the coffees that we wanted, you know, cappuccinos, mocha lattes, and this other stuff. When she came back, she poured it out, and it was the strongest stuff we had ever tasted in our lives. And then we realized that instead of just getting the separate cups, she had to just put it in one thermos and then bring it to us. And yeah, we were jobbing for the whole darn day.
Oh.
Ray.
Yeah, just want to stand up. Allegiance.
No, Danny.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and agenda as presented.
Second. Motion Derby, second extension, approve minutes and agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I suppose we'll have to wait till 9:05. Huh?
A couple minutes away.
I haven't heard anything.
Unless you're on the agenda. I guess I heard you that, I guess. Wait. It's good going here. Oh. I suppose we can. Yeah, I was gonna try to look for a short one here, yeah. Yeah, there isn't really anyone that's short. Well, you got a couple minutes. I'll entertain them out here. I'll sing or something. Any requests?
Off.
Yeah. If you've got an ear for music, I can ruin it. Guess we should have done it for 9.
Well, it's not my. Yeah. There's strange to get over there. I didn't know.
Oh,
Well, so I'll just take
no. Last of that one had over 2 inches for sure.
I don't know how much of it. Took all my poles out of my cement areas.
Oh, yeah. I don't have I have a ranger to just keep I need to drive a pole for it. Because all the rest of the places, there's too many trees to shelter.
I think it's more accurate on a pole than it is in the grass.
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, I need to put a.
All right, thanks.
Fine.
It's getting close. For 9:03, according to this. Got any more requests?
Did I accidentally send that meeting request to more people than just you?
I accidentally forwarded it to let my office know I would be out.
Okay.
So my whole office got invited.
Okay. I was confused.
Yeah, no, that's why. Some of them were very confused also. It took a little bit of, no. You don't need to do that.
I didn't know.
So that was just,
All right, we'll go by that one. All right, 9:05 a.m., discuss with possible action, Veterans Affairs Office.
Has anything changed since our last discussion? I haven't heard anything.
have you found any good place to house it in the courthouse? Is it a good situation in the courthouse to have VA in here, or?
Well, the problem with in here is the veterans are gonna have to walk a distance to get to him. Whereas where he's at, it's right there.
Sometimes you have parking issues. That's bad when Waldorf is not in session.
Court seems to take up a lot
The
too,
court takes up on certain days, that is true.
and every office in the courthouse seems to be busy all the time. So.
And again, I guess I had presented to Carla with some questions and I know they were read. When are the nurses? Are they always in the office all together at the same time?
No, we are not.
So how often are they all there at once? Where it's 3 nurses in an office at the same time? How often does that happen?
Pretty much,
And I think,
sure,
you
go ahead.
said, how often is Thomas in too?
Exactly. So is there a way that we can maybe move some things around that way instead of completely moving?
And that's a discussion, I think,
For me.
your board and Ruth.
Okay, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I just didn't know. I mean,
The supervisors ultimately make the
I know they
decision where,
do, but we make a decision that has ramifications for both parties, so. It'd be nice to at least hear both sides before we make a decision.
Or have both sides come to an agreement on something.
Right.
Give us a suggestion on what they want. So you guys are the ones that have to live with it, not us. So,
Do you want to meet with us to discuss that?
that would be fine.
Yeah, that would be, so just tell me when and where.
I'd have to talk with our other commissioners and get a time.
Okay,
We have commission meetings once a month also. We have one Thursday.
25th.
So I can discuss with them on Thursday. We'll figure it out.
okay.
Can I make a suggestion for that meeting? That you just, quote, I can't think of the word, elect somebody to represent you, you 3, or how many on your board?
There's 3 of us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just one to come, so it can be a closed meeting, you don't have to have an agenda.
Well, we have our commissioner meeting on Thursday, our VA commission meeting.
I'm saying, if 2 or more of you meet with Ruth, it has to be posted at your meeting. It's a government meeting.
Okay,
And if you only have 1, you can discuss issues that in my opinion, the public don't need to know. Okay? Not that I'm trying to hide anything, you guys are trying to hide anything, but there are issues that at least I'm aware of, that I don't think should be public. So,
okay.
That's fine with me if that's
Okay.
okay with you.
Yeah, we'll talk on Thursday and see what we want to do. We'll talk as a commission.
Okay.
Let's get with you guys. But yeah, if there's issues, we're not aware of any besides this.
So they're gonna just, I'll be gone, okay, part of Thursday, but.
So yeah, that definitely needs to be discussed.
right. And I would suggest it be just the 2 of you, whoever you decide.
All right,
So when would be a good time for you to meet then, Ruth?
Pretty much anytime next week, the week after. At this point in time, we've signed a lease, it doesn't start till July 1. And it would be nice for you to see the spot that we have in mind, so you can kind of see where it would be. And then you would be able to tell what you want to do. And then we bring it back to the supervisors. Our bottom line is we've more than doubled our staff. It just doesn't work for us anymore. And we could utilize that space 5 days a week for 40 hours a week or more, because a lot of us work overtime. And we're just way too crowded. And we're hoping in the future that we'll be able to add on to our building, and then we would all be back together again. So it would be a temporary thing, is what we're thinking. But for right now, we're just, and I'm looking at probably having to hire a couple more nurses, and I don't know where I'm gonna put them. So, and I think it would be good for us to meet in our office so you can see what we deal with, because our office is quite small. It was,
I've been in it with the previous and with Jack Caputo and everything when it first opened, so yeah.
okay. But we now have healthy families in our building too.
Mhm.
And we probably haven't been in there since they've taken over our conference room. It's just really cool. So that's what we're looking at, the need.
Okay.
Okay?
We'll discuss it on in our Thursday agenda and figure out where we want to go and get a rep in touch with you then.
Okay.
Sounds great.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yes. That's all right. Our next agenda item looks like he's wandering aimlessly anyway. Oh, no, there he is. Okay, number 3, Dave Peterson, Sheriff, to discuss personnel matters.
Today is Tuesday. Yesterday morning at 9 o'clock, Matt Schaumburg tendered his resignation, so he's leaving the sheriff's department. One of the things I wanted to talk about. So I talked to Carla, and Carla said that we should go ahead and put an ad in the paper right away. He's going to be actually on the payroll until the 21st, I think it was, of June. So we'll use this time to do our training process and our excuse me, our process to hiring process, and hopefully be able to step somebody in there 1st of July or something like that. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that.
Moving on somewhere else, is he, or?
I don't know what he's gonna do. Didn't really say, just leave it for personal issues.
Okay.
So. The other thing I want to talk to you about is, the other day I overheard a conversation between Rick Caldwell, the jail administrator, and Andy Buffington. And Andy came right out and said, we're not going to do jail checks in the holding facility, holding cells part of the jail. And that's a pretty important thing to be doing. And like I said, Andy just flat out said he wasn't going to do them. His office or their department was not going to do them.
Was he, you know, he was talking at the behest of his board?
I don't know that. The board met later that night.
And I was there.
Okay. So he said that prior to the board meeting.
Okay.
Some of the biggest problems it seemed like they had was the proximity to where they work, and also the possibility they could lock themselves out, that they couldn't get back into, I don't know anything how far that goes, but they have a big fear of locking themselves out of the dispatch room.
Well, aside from bringing a key with them, I don't.
Well, that's just it. If you don't bring the key with, you're out. It's one of those things, can they hang it on their?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's kind of like most anything. You know?
Yeah.
That's
Key to
what
your
they were
car,
talking
locked
about.
out.
The proximity, it seemed like it was proximity and getting locked.
It's not as handy as the other cells are, you know, because it is outside the the jail. The whole jail area is a secured area. Back in the comm room is a more secured area. And it is outside the more secured area, but it's still inside the secured area. So there is a door that they have to go through. But it's just a matter of throwing the key in your belt or in your pocket or whatever. But
The bottom line is what Andy said on Thursday. Eliminated them being involved in half the cell beds, half of them. That's what he said on Thursday, and that includes anybody coming in at any time of the day under arrest to be held there. Friday morning, Jennifer told me they can't even guarantee the rest of them because they don't know if they will be able to hear the 911 outside those doors that you're talking about. And I don't know how much information you want.
How do they handle that now?
Now they keep the doors, the secure door open, walk down the hallway, it's a much smaller space. They can hear the 911 as long as those doors are open. You can't keep the door. In the new facility, only one door can be open at a time. You can't open another door without that door being closed. So you have to go through a door, secure it before you open another door. So all those doors will be shut in the new facility. In the old facility, that's not the case. They're open. And the distance is much smaller too, by the way.
Is there some way of, I don't, and this is their end of it, is there some way of having a remote with them of some sort to?
Yeah, where's the pager?
I don't know why they couldn't carry a portable phone with them that's hooked up to the 911 line or.
That's a technological deal that has not been explored. The other thing is, I suggested red lights, flashing when it goes off and stuff like that. The biggest thing from a liability thing that needs to be considered is you have an entity inside your jail that is not responsible to the sheriff or you folks that is doing major liability work for the county. And, you're gonna get I think you're gonna get a staff study. I just looked at it. I could talk about staff studies. I could tell you almost what you're gonna end up getting. Most counties come up with a 10 number, even smaller counties for this. What they do is they have 5 jailers and 5 dispatch control people, okay? And they interchange them because you cannot hold, should I keep going? You cannot hold a female in that facility without a female worker in the building. And so they'll have 5 female dispatchers, they'll have 5 male jailers, and they'll move them back and forth between, because they all work for the sheriff. So he can say, you're gonna cross-train them to be jailers and dispatchers. If you got a male you gotta deal with, you move, one worker from one area to the other.
You said they both work for the sheriff, but is that necessarily true?
Most counties, that's true.
Most counties are just.
So 911 falls under the sheriff
Yep.
in other counties?
Yep.
So that's not a state statute then? They have our emergency board?
No.
Oh.
It's by 2080.
Most agencies, I brought this up at a jail school and they laughed at me because the sheriff is not in charge of the comm room or the.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's hard for the sheriff to set policies to somebody that doesn't answer to us.
And they're getting, if this was to change to where they are not doing any jail work, was what seems like they're trying to head towards, then they'd lose a certain part of their pay, wouldn't they?
Well, that's the way I would see it, because they are getting extra pay for jail duties.
Right.
Their position will be, quite bluntly, they don't get paid enough to be jailers to what they have responsibility for. They've said that many times.
The other thing I've heard at that meeting was that, and it's out of our hands, they are not a protected class, where in Hancock County they are. And it's the Department of Revenue that determines that, or
No, IPERS.
IPERS determines it, okay.
Explain that. They're not protected.
Well, it's,
So, like, the sheriff, there's certain classes of IPERS. So, like, I'm a regular class, Dave's a deputy class, and then the jailers are a protected class. Well, the dispatchers in Winnebago County, because of their job description and what they do in the jail, they are only regular class. They have, they've mentioned many times that they would like to be protected class, but IPERS says that they're not because of their duties.
Protected class means more money when you retire, and you can retire earlier.
Well, how can they do that in Hancock, not here?
Because they work for the sheriff there.
And they do
more jail duties there.
more jail duties.
So how is this,
Can you guys move up so we make sure we get this before you?
so I don't necessarily wanna open this can of worms, but since this is a 28E put together to form the E911 board for the dispatchers, how is the process to undo it?
I would have to have Adam look at that and let you know. But usually most 28Es have like a 30-day or a deadline when you have to get out or you have to decide to dissolve it. Like I said, I can have Adam look at that if that's something you're interested in.
Assuming that, but the problem's being caused here because of it, so maybe it's something we need to have in the back of our minds as a possible solution if it's,
Well, and I think
I don't want to go there.
how it got started in the first place is the city of Forest City wanted more control, and their computers are kind of interweaved.
Interchangeable. or
So-
whatever, yeah.
That worked.
That's why we have this in the first place, is because the cities, or at least one of the cities came to us and said, we want control.
Right, and that alone, choose my words, not.
Don't worry about it.
That's a terrible reason to do it. That, we're not beholden to the city of Forest City. Cary is, but us other two aren't. And yes, we want to work with them, and we do have a sliver of responsibility in Forest City. But that, yeah.
And frankly, the city of Forest City hasn't attended at least the last 2 meetings.
Well, I think Rick hit it right on the head when he said the liability is such a great issue, and I and you guys don't have any control over that at all. Rick and I were talking out in the hallway, and we've had, are we on up here?
Yes.
We have had incidents.
That's why I was trying to choose my words.
Yeah, I know. We've had incidences of deaths in the jail and fights in the jail all the way around us. And we have been very, very fortunate that we haven't had that issue, and that's my concern.
Our numbers will go up, so our possibilities go up.
Yep.
This sounds like something that needs to be discussed in depth and quickly. Sounds like.
Dave, did this start because we're moving from the old jail to the new jail?
And we're in a new classification of code.
Yeah.
That's
So a new classification
It
causes
sounds to
all
me
this
like
going
the
on.
biggest issue is
And
the jailer, dispatch going back to check general population.
And that just came to a head
Right.
Thursday.
it's the holding cell they're starting with, right?
Yep.
Which is over in the south.
That's the farthest. They actually said anything outside the secure doors. You have multiple cells on one side of the secure doors and other ones behind the secure doors.
So the 2 cells beyond the secured doors would be the work release cells.
Misdemeanor, work release,
You guys
holding.
have been out there, so there's 2 additional cells that hold a total of 16 beds. And they don't want to check those, they don't want to check the holding facilities.
And they would not guarantee the other ones either until they've tested that, whether they can hear the 911 go off.
But in a way, I don't blame them for wanting to be in the protected class for IPers. I mean, they're doing jailer work, but
Currently, what they're doing is less than the standard for that. And now, as we move, they certainly don't want to upgrade
Right. They
what
want
they're
to
doing.
continue to do less, and yet they want more,
right.
is what it's amounting to.
Well, like I said, that's not your decision, that's not my decision, that's IFRS decision.
Right, yeah.
But if we did go to what he was talking about, a 5 and 5, that would be more towards that. They would look at it differently, probably.
Yes.
Well, again, they would have to reevaluate, IPERS would have to reevaluate that and quite possibly could be,
Right.
upgraded, but.
There's just a lot of things they'll never be able to really, under even that system, do. Medications, they wouldn't be able to do that. Feeding, they wouldn't be able to do that. That's, if they're doing that down in Hancock County, they've probably upgraded to do those types of things.
And I don't know that down there, they may have used to do that. It's possible they may have used to do that and now don't, and they're still in that protected class.
Yeah.
That could be too.
That could be, I have no idea.
We don't know. Well,
We've had a jailer, at least one jailer, ever since Sheriff Volos was in office. And then we went to a jailer and a half, part-time jailer, like we do now, and things like that. And if we continue to grow with Hancock County, we got to have some control over it. Either you guys or the Sheriff's Department or somebody has to have more control over it.
Oh, it'll be you.
Well,
Yeah.
well, of course of action. Do we want to start with Adam looking at the 2080?
Yeah. That over and do whatever we gotta do to get, control in the right place, I guess, as far as, minimize the liability.
Should this be something that Andy and Jennifer come in with you guys here and we have a discussion from there, or
Absolutely. Yeah, I think so.
yeah, that's fine.
we should put it on next week's agenda to have that discussion if Andy can be here. He works down in Hancock in the morning, but seems to be somewhat useful.
IPERS stands for
Iowa Public Employees Retirement System. That's school teachers and law enforcement and fire and everybody.
It's on the red side of your tax return. Or no, not your tax return, but your tax statement.
It sounded familiar, it was APERS, which I was a part of down in
Okay.
Arizona, so that was what, okay, it's gotta be the same thing.
No, we couldn't call it papers.
No, but we did it down there. We called it swindlers, but whole thing altogether, long story.
Okay, well,
All right.
is that it then?
Yeah, as far as we're.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion and possible action regarding cooperative reimbursement agreement between Floyd County Host and the Department of Human Services Bureau of Collections.
This was an agreement for child support recovery to update the 28E Winnebago County and the state. Adam's already signed one of these. It's basically the same agreement we have now, except Floyd County is going to do the administration for the next 6 years, whereas traditionally we've rotated counties every 3 years.
Why are we going to leave it in Floyd for 6 years?
Because Floyd said that they didn't mind doing it. And it gives the state employees that work for the, so how it works is the people that work for child support recovery are a division of the state. But through this child support recovery agreement, they work for these counties. So every 3 years, these employees have to switch between Franklin, Hancock, Cassuth, Mitchell, Winnebago, and Worth counties. So they have to get all their benefits changed and all this stuff every 3 years. So it's just gives them more stability with their insurance and I called Linda and she said that there's no, they're not paying Floyd County anything extra, they're not, it's just like this agreement except they're gonna do it a few years longer.
Which county has the best benefits?
I don't know, probably Floyd.
Best
The best benefits, I guess, would be Floyd.
Well, that's great if they wanna pay them,
Well,
fine, yeah.
I guess in the back of my head is what do they think they have to gain? Usually there's
I think it's,
Since it's an E28, it would be state benefits.
no, it's not, it's the
Huh?
county,
It goes
it
between
goes
counties,
with the
that's-
counties.
It does.
So like when we had this agreement, they had our benefits for 3 years.
They're given power by the state, but they work for the county.
They work for this group.
Well,
But they're technically state employees, but they're technically our employees. I don't really know how to explain it,
It's kind
but
of a strange.
in other words, there's no money that comes from the state to fund this?
yes,
Oh, there is.
it does. Yep, and the only monies that come from the state is what it reimburses the county for, any monies that go out. So like,
They keep their offices in Floyd, then, is
it's,
that
no,
what's
it's, they're in Mason City,
They're in
actually.
Mason City, it's where the offices
Yep.
are, it's just their benefits rotate the counties.
Yeah, and the counties rotate paying like all the bills and all that kind of stuff. So Floyd just agreed to do it for a longer period of time, is the way Linda explained it to me.
I don't have a problem with it.
It seems like it would be awful confusing for those involved to do it the way we're doing it, I guess.
It's a lot of, when you have to add 3 new employees, or, however many employees, I think it's 3 or 6 new employees, you have to, make sure all your line items are set up again, you gotta make sure, it's,
Well, it's challenging enough for somebody like me to re-up every year, let alone change counties.
right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they have to change their entire benefits every 3 years to whatever the
I
county
guess I
has.
have no problem with this.
Make a motion to go into an agreement with Floyd County as host for Department of Human Services.
For the next 6 years. I'll second the motion.
Motion from Censor, a second from Derby, to go with Floyd County as the host county for the Department of Human Services for the next 6 years. All in favor, say aye.
And this was, just to clarify, it's Bureau of Collections part of it.
Yeah, you're.
Good morning, Scott.
Morning. How's it going?
Good. Rain some more.
Yeah, the pavement's about right off, isn't it? Let's use a shower. Scott Bidner's engineer will discuss secondary road matters.
I just got a couple things. Bill, you had mentioned to me the other day on R34 where we paved last year, some damage to the pavement. So for the rest of the other two of you, that there was a truck that went in the ditch and was pulled out by a wrecker, and the shoes on the wrecker sunk into the pavement and caused some damage. So I tracked down the company responsible, and they're willing to pay for it, and so we got hopefully to get that fixed in the next week or two.
The co-op and the tow truck, or?
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't figure out the tow truck, but the co-op said they'd take care of it. So just wanted to let you know that it's getting taken care of.
I ended up working with the driver that was doing it this spring. In his defense, the truck started overheating on him, and he went past it. He wanted to get off on a gravel road. He didn't back up and swing out far enough to get off the road before his truck died. And he ended up on the shoulder. But to me, it looked like they could have probably put the tow truck out on the gravel road and just had their cable go a little further. Could have avoided it. But I wasn't there, so.
The other thing is minor detail, but we authorized a little bit of maintenance work, some slurry leveling up on A16 between R34 and Scarville, and also the north side of Rake, and the road to Pilot Knob from Highway 9. So sometime in the next couple of months, I assume, and they'll be in and out really quickly, so you might not notice them. But
Is this that wide patching then, or what?
yeah, it's about 2 feet wide, depending on the screed they use. And it's a kind of brittle material, but it levels it out and holds pretty strong there until it needs further maintenance. And in this case, A16 is on our federal aid schedule for a few years down the road, so it's just kind of a practice to get by for the time being and keep it held together in the meantime.
When you do have it on your schedule, 19 you said, what process is that going to be, a milling and overlay?
I expect it'll be similar to the process we used this year, cold in place and resurfacing, unless something changes. We don't have the design done, but that's what I would expect.
What's your, like when you're putting re-rock roads, you've got kind of a cycle you go on. How many years is it, or?
Well, an average is about 3 years.
3 years.
But, you know, depends really entirely almost upon traffic. So, you know, like an hospice or some of those probably get it every year.
Yeah.
There's some that just more like F&L's road, 70th, that gets it every year. There's a lot of truck traffic, stuff like that. Meaning then that some don't get it that often.
My guess this one would be a relatively less traveled road. It's definitely got some hot spots coming up through it. The person who lives on the road was concerned.
Where at?
The road that goes past, I believe it's the east and west road past Gary Graber's there. He says there's some weak spots in it. I was going to drive by it this morning and I forgot.
I did a bunch of spotting on that last fall, but check it out.
Yeah, I did look at it myself, so he just thought it needed some attention. And I told him that it was on a cycle. I thought it was a 3-year cycle for the most part. But he said it's been a lot longer than 3 years since he's had rock.
We can look too.
He must have a better memory than me. I couldn't remember how many years. Anything else for secondary roads?
Yes. 838, Arthur. Let me look.
838 is from Leland going,
Yes, 838, right past Myron Prescott's, but, I keep calling Myron, he's gone. Past Heesh, there's a culvert that goes under the road into Roger Hermanson's land. Goes to that ditch on the south side, drainage ditch.
Over toward, yeah.
Yeah, that's plugged, I guess, big time. I haven't looked at it. Jerry Field, who farms it, said that needs to be, it's blocking water.
So it'd be roughly a half mile west of the county line?
Yep.
Isn't that
Yep.
somewhere?
Yep.
Not
Right in
quite
there,
around.
yep. That's all I got, except, on my way down today, 210th Street, south of Winnebago Church. there's a couple holes that are, in my opinion, dangerous. I mean, the whole road could use a grading, but that must really get traffic, because I don't know if it did. It's that
Crap pounded out of it.
Yeah. It's right there, the one dangerous is right south of Andrew Hanna, about, I guess a quarter mile. So, but it'd be about 3/4 miles south of Winnebago Church.
That was only yesterday. It's bad.
Yeah. That's all I got.
On the Mill Road in Buffalo Center, looks like what is appearing to be a sinkhole starting right in front of Carol Van Ho's house. There's an intake in the ditch on the other side. According to the tile map, when I was looking at it, it did show a tile going under there. But he took, right where his mailbox is, and there's a little flower planter there, he took his, what do you call this, rods where you poke the tile, probe, just a probe. And he went down, and then he hit a hollow spot, and then it hit dirt again. So it's sinking, and then there's a dip in the pavement, actually. There's a little dip starting right by the end of his driveway there. I don't know if there's actually a tile going underneath. You'd have to have something there to be causing that. But, I'm trying to remember to drive around it with my truck when I'm all apart in the next few days.
Could be a good idea.
Yeah, I will end up in it.
We could have intake over that open hole in that ditch.
If we haven't got one, we got it. We didn't have any 8s. I'm not sure if they put it on there yet or not. I know we
I think I was by it a few days ago and I didn't see it. Back up there.
Did you ever get an intake cover over that one up by Rake where we're having all the excitement?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I go by there back, just can't quite see it.
We just put an old cast iron beehive back on.
Okay. Mike, you're ready for drainage? All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Would you call Chris Terry?
Oh. You want me to just yell?
Give me a shot.
I'll be back in an hour.
It's one of those, you can't push it twice for a K. You just gotta scroll forever. There it is. So now, which button do I push
Up
now?
at the top. Should say call.
It says call back.
I'll go get her.
It's like it started dialing itself, I think, and then
Oh, yeah,
I
switch
set-
screens on
the
you.
button said call back instead of call, and it's like,
Here's what I would do. You go, and it's spell her name. K-R.
oh,
Aye.
you can use another button to narrow.
Oh, no, it's ringing in there.
She said that you called and hung up.
The last button you pushed was what?
Uh,
When her name was popped up
It's
there,
the
what
one
did
at
you
the
do?
top. when
I
you
answered
push
it
The red button?
Nobody was there.
push the button that
Oh, in line with
Oh,
that.
yeah,
well,
it's usually kind of on the top
Yeah, see,
half, because it
I
doesn't
was
line
looking
up
for this
perfect.
down here and it turned to call back, and I'm like,
I just push, yeah.
Just that keeps the range. We'll be good.
well, and I didn't push anything up there, it just automatically, when it popped up.
Well, we gotta figure it out until next week.
It changes
Okay, auditor's office will discuss drainage matters. Exciting?
I don't think so.
You know how much we will be discussing next week with, like on
DD1? Mm-hmm.
all of one and lats?
Oh, I don't know about the
I see he
lats.
billed us for some of the lats.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's got the reports ready for all of that, but I know DD1 Main, he has everything ready for that.
So I know that lat 4 is kind of critical. We're waiting on an improvement there.
So I'll call him and ask him what he's, because he's going to give updates on everything else next week, but I'll see if he has reports ready for that.
There's still water sitting up there. I don't know if we should be going up to see if there's a blockage by, what's the name of the people that live south of,
Starts with an H.
yeah,
Horn.
Horn. Out on the west side of the Horn place.
Usually be. There's an intake in the road ditch there on the south side of that farm.
Yeah,
Tell the story too.
yeah. It's just water sits up there all the time. Even when everybody else was dry, there was still some water there. We haven't changed. Would you want to look at that and see if it, of course, it's hard to tell there's more flow now, but
Are you gonna get the finger thing taken care of?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Please. I had never taken pictures and
Yeah, she came in yesterday.
doing a prelim write-up, and I'm like, so I just wanted to know.
who's in charge of fixing that one?
Rognus, so I don't know if Jeremy's gotten a hold of you, Mark, or,
Yes,
so maybe you want to call him.
What's that pertaining to?
That DD 71 that goes into DD 5 south of the bowling alley out here.
Here's the problem.
You can't walk out there now, the grass is as tall as my chest. And you can already see there's mosquito beds everywhere. So it's gonna get really bad this year, particularly with all the wet weather we're having. And now I understand the bowling alley is running into problems as well too, that drainage down in that general vicinity, because it's about 15 to 17 yards worth of water wide. And there's standing water, you can't walk anywhere in it because it's turned into a swampy area. Can't mow there, can't do anything, can't take any grass in. Almost lost shoes going in, had to go into the truck and get boots to go back out there again. And it's just getting progressively worse, and it's working its way out right to the house.
Our Tyler's can only do so much too, you know what I mean? So
She said she's been waiting on this for about 10 years, so.
it gets fixed and then something else will break, and then it gets fixed and something else will break, so.
I'm holding off.
The biggest problem is their trees.
And they don't want to cut some of their trees, so then.
Them to have a building on top of it.
Oh, it's,
So the new one will have to be in a different location.
anything else for drainage? Number 7, discussion with possible action, DD 21 main tile.
Dean Anderson was in the other day, and he wonders if the tile in section 8 is low enough. There's only like a foot of cover. So he wondered if we should get an engineer out there to check it out. I don't know.
Main? Talking about that big one?
It's, well, I didn't know what lateral. I don't know what's in this, there was like a little, some options. Section 8 maybe.
That's where he would own that.
What section is that?
8,
8 to
Lincoln.
Part by Reagan.
Yeah.
Oh, that, yeah, now I remember.
So, I don't know if you want to talk to him before we do any major cost.
I mean, the ditch is right there, so tile's as steep as it could be. I mean, it's the very lower end of either main, whichever one it is.
Which lat did you say it was?
I'm not sure if it's the main.
Is it east, west, or north, south? Didn't say.
Well, this is, I'm having trouble with there.
And I know Holland's been out there, but that was in different, I think in a different spot.
Well, that was by Rape there, on the other side. This is further north.
Okay.
They were up in Deeds too.
Well, they were up to Deeds too.
They had a hole or a washout.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They were out there. Is that when they figured out that the main was only a foot deep after?
And this is just him talking.
Which way does that water go? It goes
North.
into this ditch and goes to the.
Oh, there, okay.
So maybe do you want to call him and see what you think his problem might be? Okay. I've got phone numbers.
As long as we're talking drainage, what does it take to clean out a natural waterway?
Takes nothing on our part.
Nothing on our part, of course.
Civil engineers.
Once the engineers gotta come and they take care of that themselves. And they build a drainage district for it, or they pay.
It's not in a drainage facility.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's.
Is it a designated natural waterway, like Winnebago River?
It's the south branch of the raging Buffalo Creek.
So does that fall under?
It's probably got some ripples.
Water.
The ditch, I guess where it naturally starts, then from there we must have dug a ditch. I haven't gone up and looked at it yet. Evidently the ditch needs to be cleaned, but if you clean the ditch, it really won't matter unless you clean.
Right. The surrounding landowners have to agree to maybe just get it cleaned on their own.
Is that what it is?
Otherwise, they can petition to have that annexed in as part of the district facility, but then that's all the landowners that would go into it.
My guess would be if they could find someone else, the Corps wants to pay for it, that would be what they'd rather pay.
But does that fall
I don't
under?
think they'll do that.
They won't.
They don't.
The Army Corps isn't gonna.
Does it fall under?
They don't really care.
Does that,
Well-
Great fall under the Army Corps?
Probably the DNR.
Well,
Well, I don't know.
I've told people to call the DNR because I've got one up by,
they're automatically gonna say they control it.
so that's why I just say call them and see what they say. But if it's not in a facility, we as a board, you as a board, should not start cleaning what is not in a district facility.
Oh, absolutely.
So, because we've got issues down here and now wherever
Oh,
else,
I told
over
the
there, so.
All the guys, I told the guy that asked me about it, is I would check into it and see what it takes.
It has been done before, though. I mean, we've cleaned the district has cleaned
What was it, DD 57?
over 500 feet of the Winnebago River.
Really?
Where at? 7?
Right by Colby's, the old brick school
Really?
house. Be half mile north there. That outlet's into the river.
God, I can't believe they let you do it.
The district wanted to pay for it. I mean,
I can't believe the Army Corps let us do it, let them do it, that's a thing. Wow.
Just enough to make the outlet work.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a lot of obstructions in the rest of the river that we probably should be looking into. What does it take to get these obstructions taken
Yeah,
care of?
it's
Trees
somewhere.
down, crossing through
Oh,
there.
yeah, I saw one somewhere where the tree's going all the way across.
That's by the
Is that
Leland.
Leland there, right there? I was just gonna say, wasn't it on the east side of Leland there?
But there's others too,
You go
all the way through there.
west corner of Forest City, it's a jungle in there.
Well, if you get on the east side of Leland too, it's a jungle there too.
And there's trees all over the river, you can't get through them.
It's not navigable.
The sad thing about it is, when you hit Minnesota, it turns into about a 25-foot to 30-foot wide ditch that gets cleaned about every 10 years.
But maybe they annexed it to their district and do that.
Could have.
Wonder, would it be the Corps of Engineers we'd have to talk to then?
Probably both, you'd probably have to permit through, I'm assuming.
I've just told people to call a DNR, they can start with them, and
Usually it's.
But why alert them if it's not?
I don't know who to go with. And I don't know how to get a hold of the Corps of Engineers, so.
I looked one day for the Army Corps of Engineers, and I don't know how long I spent trying to find the phone number. And then I finally found the phone number, and I called the phone number, and nobody answered, and then there was a message, and I left a message, and it's probably been 6 months, and still nobody's gotten back to me.
So maybe
Yeah.
working through the DNR would be the best route since they have the contact with the Corps.
That's what I was
Like
hoping for.
Across the room in Des Moines.
I would check with Stryker first. That's what he's there for.
Doug Strike,
For what?
Doug Strike.
Yeah, Stryker.
To do what?
See what your process is. You know, what
Why are we worrying about it if it's not ours?
We're here to serve.
It's.
Right,
people-
but if it's not a district, why are we concerned?
Because it's
the water shall
affecting
have
other
flow.
districts.
Okay,
I'll call
well,
him. I'll get
we
him.
need to call IDDA, because he works for John Torbert, not us. So we go,
Oh.
he has to go through everything through John Torbert,
Okay,
so.
I'll give him a call. Because my opinion is they'll bluff. They'll just, yeah, you can't do anything. It's my guess. I could be wrong.
So,
I'd expect it, I'd expect it.
Probably the best example there is of an outlet like that that really needs attention is DD 57. You know, North Lake Mills there, through all that
Yep.
DNR land. that
Yep.
was- They almost silted in on that.
Yep.
So DD 57 doesn't have a decent outlet because of it, so therefore,
And when we did DD 18, we said, well, this only does so much because there's all this silt backed up in the river that doesn't let 18 actually function properly. Raises the level of the whole ditch constantly.
And according to Jerry Ruggles, that's part of Gordy Anderson's problem.
yeah, I'm sure that's probably true.
so if the drainage district decides they want to clean it themselves and pay for it, they still have to get permission from the Corps.
It would be similar to what we do for bridge projects. You file a joint application to the DNR and the Army Corps of Engineers, and then they individually will send back guidance on whether you're allowed to do it or not.
Do you have contact with the Army Corps?
I have a couple that I think would be helpful. They've been responsive to all of our permits. Relatively. I mean, you know, within some of them within a couple of weeks, others within 90 days.
Where's this Buffalo Creek? The Buffalo Creek?
Yeah, raging.
Raging, where's it at?
It must go by Gary Graber's in there. I'm not exactly sure where the dredge ditch starts.
DD 25 outlet.
25. And that's a trustee drain.
No, what is it?
In Grant.
Well, Grant.
Parts of Linden.
Yeah, as I was saying, it'd be the south.
Oh, maybe Linden, yeah.
Probably Linden. I think it's further, Gary would be further east than Grant. So.
Okay.
So Buffalo Creek doesn't actually start
It
until,
must be close to that substation then. Isn't that my? This is just north of substation.
What section?
their trustee drained, it isn't. They don't have Buffalo Creek in there at all, I'm sure.
So.
No, it'd be just like 39, the one that has already been let, just outlets into that same.
Yeah. So that's
What
what,
section would you guess that is? Buffalo Creek.
it's right here.
Right here, it's 19. It begins in section 20 of Linden,
Oh, okay. All right, so it is.
right at the border of the drainage district. Turns to Buffalo Creek.
Could be an expensive project. All right, I just need to know.
That's why they haven't done it, because the landowners don't want to do it. And the trustees don't want to do it for the district.
Oh, really want that, that's,
He's always wanted it done. But nobody else will go with it.
If that's the case, then. She was,
I don't know if they've had a good list of numbers and facts to look at and say yes or no, probably.
Right, but then there was nothing I could do to help them, so
Right.
I
I think they
mean,
definitely have landowners down there that want to see it go forward, so. they-
well, there are.
But if this affects a number of drainage districts, maybe they could be spread out farther than just that DD 25, like 39.
yeah.
how big do you want to make it?
They can do, I'm just gonna check to see who controls it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can just imagine DNRs, you can't do anything there, and then everybody drops it. So,
Another good example of that's Myrie Slough. There's a small private district that flows into Myrie Slough. They've got like zero drainage. Slough has it all backed up.
Yeah, that Sioux is certainly filled in over the last 30 years since I used to go duck hunting out there. There used to be a lot of open water out there when I was duck hunting out there 30 years ago. There ain't hardly any out.
And is that Robert that's supposed to take care of that?
Graber?
No, Schwartz for conservation. Does he have that?
That's a state park, isn't it?
Is it? Okay.
I think so.
I think so, Sam.
I can't remember.
There's a drainage district that drains into it.
So
Yeah.
Private.
It's all private.
Oh, I was gonna say, because there's.
So it's the same one,
It
DD
flows,
25.
it flows out into our 25 drainage ditch.
Okay, well, anything else for drainage? All right. Move on. We need, Julie up here for the next
No,
one.
this is ours.
She's on the agenda for next week.
All right. Consider for approval the canceling of old warrants. These are checks that have been written out and never cashed, is that it?
Yep.
What's CCS?
That was Mark. It's not Nicholson. Teresa's brother, Mark.
Peterson.
Peterson, yeah. That's his computer some systems. And they were all dated 2015.
Do you remember, is this the first we looked at any of those, or did we look at a couple of those last year?
Nope, I just do 1 year at a time.
That's what I say, we just,
Those were just 14s last year.
we got rid of all of them last year.
Just, there's repeat offenders.
Yes.
I was gonna say.
Yep.
Looks
Oh, is that
familiar.
right?
Mhm.
There's
Yep.
similar names that don't cash checks?
Right.
it's good.
Well,
Saves us money.
We appreciate
We try,
everything they can do for us.
right?
I'll make a motion to approve those, canceling those old warrants.
Second the motion. Motion says yours, second for Derby to approve the canceling of all warrants. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, number 9, discussion with possible action, fireworks resolution.
All right, so this is the resolution that Adam and I drew up, mostly Adam. Can you stamp that, approved or something?
That probably should be approved now.
Okay, so this is saying that anybody that wants to shoot off Class C fireworks would have to have a permit.
It's basically the same as it is now.
Yes.
Yes.
See, I was under the understanding last week that it was gonna separate B from C and
Yeah.
so forth. I have no
Basically, what
intention.
Adam wanted to do was to leave the process the way it is right
No.
now.
I had no intention of entertaining that on my end.
No, I don't either. I wanna be able to blow fireworks at my place.
Say, you sound like someone who wants to blow his fingers out.
And I know that's the general feeling.
I can see it in the cities, but we're not in control of the cities, we're in control of the
Yeah, the cities can do whatever they want.
And I think that's the general consensus, I really do.
Yeah, I've been blowing fireworks for years. You gave me that. Big bang.
I don't know if it, see now, if it was designated that, see, I think the law right now only allows for Class C. If we had a resolution that indicated they still had to have permits for Class B or bigger, then we'll see that, like we're doing now.
I suppose there is something to be said for being able to keep knuckleheads from hurting themselves.
We're not, or, I don't know. Well, ATV is improving that. Knuckleheads are gonna be knuckleheads,
Well, it don't matter what it is.
and sometimes I'm a knucklehead, so.
It's like all the warning signs we gotta have on lawnmowers, you know, and stuff like that, you know. It used to be what do they call that, natural selection or whatever, where they just kind of weed themselves out.
Do we want to have Adam change this just for anything Class B or greater?
Yeah, that would be the way to resolve it, in my opinion.
Because then anything that goes above a certain height, you know is bigger than
Yeah.
a 3-inch mortar or whatever.
And that's what Class B starts at, is 3-inch.
Well, I think that's 3-inch might be Class B. It's that.
3 inches.
4 is definitely Class B.
So say 3 inches is pretty heavy.
I'd have to do some research on that. I just remember,
The ones I have.
Yeah, they're 1.5 to 2 covers most of them.
it seems like 2 might be the maximum Class C,
Yeah.
depending on what's coming out of it.
And they still go considerable ways.
Yeah, they do. They're fun. And I think, it seems like Minnesota is only Class D. So I think we would gain on the Class C for sales.
So-
Minnesota can't buy it.
Yeah, maybe 4 city permits, but I don't know if the senator issues permits for the city limits for people who want to let off fireworks.
Already?
Yeah. Steve Hasbrook had one for last year.
The city
Yeah,
council
city
has
limits.
said that they're going to stay status quo, that you cannot fire them off in the city. They looked at the opportunity of maybe having a centralized location like Pamela Park to shoot them off. But right now, the city's kind of tabling it for the moment and allowing the current city ordinance to stay in place. Now, once you get outside the city limits, it's a free-for-all, and that's up to you guys. But anything within the city limits is forbidden.
Tell Steve, they thought, well, you get a permit, it's right next
But
to,
no designated area.
right next to a nursing home.
They get to enjoy it.
Well, no, well, that's great, I kept them awake, at least they got something to see while they were awake, you know. Yeah, because I asked him, I can't remember what was going on there, it wasn't the 4th of July either. Oh, it was, I think it was the softball year-end party or whatever, it's a scout, he says, they give you a permit to blow these things off, you're right to the next nursing home, he goes, yeah.
I guess that's what I'd like to see in Class B or larger.
Are we on open forum?
Not yet.
But
Okay.
We're close enough though, as soon as I'm done signing this, we will be. Okay, well, we'll table that till next week with a few changes to it.
Or actually go back to drainage. It's not really open forum.
Okay, you wanna go back to drainage?
Yeah.
Just to make it official?
Sure.
Discuss drainage matters again.
Okay. Scott was just asking about that, contacting IDDA, wondering if you and Mark and Scott and I would like to draft an email all together so we can get all of our questions. We'll send it in a formal email,
Okay.
and that way he can get back to us without asking, well, he's got some questions because he's already doing a bridge over DD 25. Well, if the Army Corps, whomever wants to clean that, he may have to lower his box culvert. So if we can all coordinate this together.
And then the only question I want to ask is who controls Buffalo Creek?
Okay, and I'm gonna limit that to who controls natural waterways.
Well, because I want to know who controls the Winnebago River and what's the process.
Right, so I'll just
I know
blanket,
that's the Army Corps.
Right.
right, but
What's the
how,
process?
right, what's the process? So I can do that
Mike,
and
I
then,
mean, the question's a little bit ambiguous because they control the drainage ditches as well in some regards. I mean, so it's about the way we ask them and all the questions that we want to get down.
right, whose responsibility is it to clean?
Well, doesn't, that's,
Even if you have-
just law enforcement.
But if you have jurisdiction, that doesn't necessarily mean you're responsible for cleaning it out or doing any maintenance.
Oh, I see, okay, yeah.
So it's really, in this case, I think about getting the right permissions and then figuring out who would pay and who's interested in doing the work and all those things. And it's kind of a lot of questions that need to
I
be
just
asked.
want to ask the DNR first.
Yeah,
They
so,
own the state.
right, so is that okay with you?
Yes.
That we do all that?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, so
Then
we'll
I
get
won't-
something,
Then I won't call.
right, so we'll coordinate
Okay.
getting some questions and send it. And then I'll obviously copy you guys on it, so you know what we asked, and then hopefully he can reply.
Good.
Okay?
Maybe I'll send you some notes.
Yeah.
If you want to write it or.
Sure. Or you can write it. I don't care. I don't care who does it.
I'll take a stab at it.
Yeah, sounds good.
this would be the.
All right, thank you.
Try to get Mark's.
Okay, so we table that for.
This is. For information.
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember, recognize the name of it, but that's the, about where it's at.
Brian Britland, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got a lot of
It's all right. So I've seen the name before.
them. He's got about anything that Wayne's involved with.
Oh, okay, all right, so then, yeah, that would be right then.
I see his name on a lot of them.
It just didn't seem like, I remember that being who I talked to. Well, guess we stand adjourned.
No, hold on. The Feener thing has really got,
You wanna go back to drainage?
well, just briefly, just on an open forum type thing. We need to kickstart that. This has been, it's like we're going on the 11th year. And her property is just looking, I mean, guys, if I had my camera here, I'd show you the pictures there. It's just, it's. So if we can get Rognus to do something, because it seems like now with the bowling alley actually getting some attention, that now her property's gonna get attention as well too. So it just, that was one of the major, I'm just gonna put my 2 cents in because I think it's kind of like, it's getting serious out there.
In some way, we need to put a chronological order on this.
Well, we wait 2 decades, I guess, then we can get to it, you know.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, with regards to navigating the Winnebago River, just try telling the DNR you've got obstructions close to the Secker Avenue Bridge. They'll just look at you like, yeah, so.
Where does she, I should look it up, where does she live?
Well, you know where the Super Bowl is? Same place. That general vicinity, the gravel road going up towards Leland.
She's just north of that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And it's, something needs to get done bad.
The main coming up here.
I was in the city limits, but there's not a lot of buildings out there, is there? This corner right here, this is, it run right through this last red one.
There's that clinic, there's a house.
That's all over the field through here, though, isn't it? Kind of hills and trees,
So around by that clinic, yeah.
which, that's probably some of the problem in the trees, I guess.
Have another received stamp. See, nothing in the last room.
Really? Except for now they'll have to hire 3 more instead of 2 more licenses.
There were, one was terminated last week, so.
Yeah, that's right. She just,
So I don't know if those 2 include that one.
oh, I mean, she worked here. Oh, it said somewhere over the last 9 years.
Well, I can give Jeremy a call.
Please.
Mark's gonna call him, if I call him, then he'll know there's some urgency to it.
I mean, she's really pushing me to do a story on it. And she's not the only one. There's some people right around the area that are also asking to do the same thing. And I'm
Well, I'm
like,
sure
nope,
if the
nope,
drainage
nope.
isn't working, then the farmer's gonna be
Well, it's like last night,
lane.
right after I got back from the rain out at Lynn Mills, I came down just to see the property again. It was just an ocean. And there's a section right there where the water is moving so fast. And I'm no engineer, but I can tell you that this might be an improvement. But I don't think it's gonna be a cleanup. I think it's gonna be an improvement because the amount of water that is just coming down looks like about 4 miles down from the Crystal Lake mouth. Okay? And you're heading up down the Iowa River where it kind of gets a little bit of rapidy down there. Same kind of thing. I mean, you're still class 0, but it's still, there's movement in that water. And it's carrying stuff, it's carrying silt and dirt and grass straight on down. So wherever it goes into, it will plug up very quickly. Especially now when you've got all this dead grass that's there. It's just yanking it up right out of the ground and then just shoving it down wherever it's supposed to go. So,
We gotta put, the outlet is into a clean ditch now.
we hope, but with the amount of debris I saw going down, I'm not kidding you, there were branches, small branches that were just flowing right down there with it. So whatever we've done to improve that clean ditch, it's not gonna last very long. Because you're getting the underground silt, you're getting the above ground silt, and all that's combining into whatever you've just cleaned out. And yeah, there are some trees, I won't knock it, there are some trees that are there. But for the way that that water flows and the size that it's collecting the water up, there is a wide variety of grasses and branches and twigs and things that are just being pushed right with it down to wherever this clean ditch is. And it's ugly. I mean, like I said, I almost lost shoes going out there. And I was maybe 15, 20 feet from what appeared to be the bank. And then I went back in the truck and I got my boots, came back out, same spot, and I sank down maybe about 2.5 inches into the dirt. So it's permeating back. And because it has no room to escape and it continually widens, it's moving its way all the way up to the house. So wherever the central core is, I don't know if it's perforated, non-perf, what it is. It looks like, and this is just an inexperienced idiot talking here, it looks like there's too much pressure on that main. Whatever that ditch is right there, it looks like there's way too much pressure. I don't know of any ditch that could handle, from where I live, I don't know of any ditch that could handle that kind of pressure of water. I mean, if I'm in a canoe, you are triple timing like this to try and stay with the current, to go ahead of it. It's much more powerful in some cases than Winnebago at its worst. So that's why I say somebody's got to get in there and look at it. So.
More than likely, it's down towards the bottom where the trees are, and blocking the whole thing.
Yeah, it almost appears to me to be, without going too far into it, almost appears to me like some kind of tree roots or something like that have gotten into and have created the problem. So, and I'm just speculating. I mean, I'm no Andy.
Well, it's pretty common.
Yeah, but there is a tremendous amount of pressure on that that's coming through, and it's welling down in there. You can tell it's creating that ditch. Anyway, stories on the website about the settlement with the insurance thing. $1.3 million. They're supposed to be giving back to this local governments that got built. And now they're looking further into some individuals. So just to kind of give you a heads up.
I heard it on the radio.
Yeah.
Was there a report from the state?
Yeah, there is a report. The state took its sweet time.
It's on. We're still in a meeting.
The state took its time trying to get us any kind of information with regards to it. So we couldn't get specifics on it at all. But as far as they're concerned, that it is on the website. And
What does the state say?
the state agrees formally with Two Rivers, formally, quotations, that they will not put blame on the insurance company. And the insurance company also says that they're not going to admit guilt, but that they're going to settle this whole thing out of court for 1.3 mil. So both kind of come out of the whole thing cleanly. The investigation stops.
Adam asked us to put this on the agenda for next week, and
We'll get more information. But
yes, Adam wanted to read the report and be able to report to you guys next week.
That would be the wisest thing.
if you have information to pass along ahead of time, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I got the state report yesterday, so I will email that out to you.
Anyway, no blame was ascertained.
What's that?
No blame was ascertained, let's put it that way. But there is going to be some reparations.
1.3 million is quite a little less than the total of, I mean, if I remember right, our share of it was 85,000. It's a small county.
Hancock's is 400.
You said it was 400.
And I didn't swing the gavel, so I can't comment on that. That would be something that you would have to ascertain out of the report. But I'm already getting questions on the website.
Have a good reading, guys.
Yeah, and we're gonna,
Well, that'd be the end of open forum.
yes. Stand adjourned.